All right, welcome to another edition of the Above the Bridge podcast. This is episode 19. I'm your host, Thaddeus. Shout out to my producer, boy band John. What's up, John? All right. Shout out to our sponsors, Defend Hawaii and also Detail Garage Hawaii. Right now, if you go onto their website and our promo code is ATBpod upon checkout, 15% off anything you order. So that would be defendhawaii.com, ATBpod. DetailGarageHawaii.com, ATBpod. Again, 15% off all your order if you use our promo code upon checkout. All right, today's guest, I'm super happy to have him on. He's been someone I looked up to for a long time, and his son is my brother, best friend. You know him from Tiny TV, Ohana Market Place, also the news. My guest today is Tiny Tadani. What's up, Tiny?
Hey, how's it going, Dad? Hi.
Oh, I'm super happy that you came on. You're legitimized my show.
I think I was looking at some of your previous guests, including my son, who was your first show. I think I may be the oldest one, so I'm honored because it's kind of a new generation thing with this podcast, you know?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but the first time I met you, I was young, and we came to the news channel in the morning, and we did a Taekwondo demonstration, and you were hosting the morning show at that time. So that's when I first met you. You probably don't remember, but for me, it was a huge deal. It was the first time I was on TV. I got to meet Tiny Tadani, and yeah, it was huge for me. I don't know if you remember that segment, but we came in and I got tossed around by a bunch of girls and kicked in the face. And yeah, it was a fun time.
All these years later, and with your daughter and your wife, you're still getting kicked in the face and
yeah. Yeah, it's no fun.
Was that with, what's his name, Smith?
Yeah, was with Smith, yep. And then you host one of our Taekwondo banquets at the time too.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Yep, that was my first experience with Tiny. But the way we connected back in the day was I used to run the I Know Care store, and we said on my podcast with Taylor, you came in and brought him on for your Tiny TV. So how did Tiny TV get started? Because I don't think anybody in Oahu or Hawaii has not seen an episode of Tiny TV, and I know how big it was because when our little episode ran on Tiny TV, the amount of traffic and people that talked about it was huge.
Well, it was different back then because when the show started over 20 years ago, there weren't too many Tiny TVs, so a lot of people watched it. It was me. I brought on Local Kind Grinds at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was it. And they would repeat our shows over and over again on OC16. And everyone who saw the show would go to the sponsors or go to the restaurants. And they kind of knew Tiny TV. People would see me on the street and be like, go Tiny, go Tiny. It was like a phenom, and it was fun to do. I like to, like you said, the word pioneer, I keep in my back pocket all the time. And it's kind of what I go to all the time when I think, what do I want to do? I like to be first, not just to be first, but I just want to be original. You're always more successful when you do that. And then once everyone starts to copy and it happens over and over again, then I kind of move on. Then I know it's time to do something new, you know?
Well, speaking of oh, go ahead.
No, it's that term that they use when they say you reinvent yourself.
Yes.
I'm like I said, I'm your oldest guest. I'm 57, so I've reinvented myself several times. And I'm kind of proud of that I can keep doing it because I'm kind of in the midst, and we'll talk about it later, of reinventing myself again.
Well, that's awesome. And
yeah, speaking
of,
though, I just wanted to mention real quick because people always ask how I started it, and it's real simple. Camera, shooting stuff by myself, doing the audio by myself, being the host, and editing with one person. I've always had an editor. I'm not really good at that, but my son is my key one. But it's basically you get paid more when you do it by yourself.
That's true, and you have creative control of what your content is. And speaking of pioneer,
right now, if you had makeup and audio
Oh
and
yeah.
food, you couldn't really make money with your sponsors. Like right now, you can take care of you and John, and you're good, right?
Yep, yep. As speaking of pioneers, as popular as it is today, the selfie, I think you're the first person to have invented the selfie because I have seen you do it. Taylor has talked to me about it. There's only one person back in the day who filmed their own stuff holding their Sony camera, and it was a tape camera, right?
Right.
And
I
you
was just
selfied your whole
about that.
show.
It was bigger than a phone back then, so it was a little more
Yeah.
technique to not shake it and hold a big camera, you know?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't care what anybody says. Tiny Tadani is the inventor of the selfie because he's doing it back in the day. One hand filming a whole TV show with it. So I got to give you props on that.
And people used to tease me all the time and say, "Can't you hire a cameraman?" But then I go back to what I said earlier: is hey, if I can pay myself instead of paying another person, and besides, and you know this too, and you shoot something yourself, you know what you want. You know, zoom here, pan here. That interview, you want a close up. If you have to explain it to somebody, then think about it. It'll take twice as long. You got to tell them what you want. And then if it's not exactly what you had in your mind, you got to do it again, and it's 3 times as long.
Yeah, exactly. Reshoot it or whatnot. But yeah, as popular as it is today with all these girls and their TikTok videos, it all started with you, man.
I wish I could somehow claim a selfie as mine and I could get paid royalties for everyone who does a selfie.
Oh, that would be a billion-dollar industry, easy.
One of those ghost shows. My wife likes to watch those shows about ghosts, and they're on like those history channels or whatever. And there's these young guys out there looking for spirits, and they're at the end they're filming themselves talking. And I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
this is national now, and then even you got CNN and other news stations who buy cameras, they set it up on the tripod, and they have reporters doing it now without a cameraman. It's kind of the way it's done.
Yep, it's getting to be that way. I mean, we're doing it. I'm in front of a computer right now, and like nobody set it up but me. John tells me how to angle it, though. That's for sure.
Good to have someone like that, you know, watching over. And my son was the same way. He would edit my show, and he'd go, "Oh, Dad, you're saying like so a lot." You know, I would go so or whatever was my transition. He would tell me, you know, and being the young boy, he had a hard time in the beginning trying to tell me what I had to fix, you know?
Oh yeah, he's the same way with me because I would say a lot, and then he would call me, "Hey, bro, you gotta stop saying so much." You're always
Now
looking out.
I'm telling him, "Taylor, you say frick too much." I know that's your nightclub lingo, but in public, we got to cool down. You know, it's just
Yeah.
how it goes. But I've been through that. I was young, and, you know, you go through that stage. And if you can take criticism and move on and take it as a positive way to take critique, then it's good.
That's what I've been learning. And that's to humble myself and listen to what people say. Like my normal reaction is like, what? You don't know. Like, but I've learned with age to kind of listen to what people say because you could pick up something important and it could change things for you. And like honestly, with John, we got into it. Like I didn't really want to do video for the podcast, and he was adamant about it. And right now, like the videos portion of it has been blowing up, and I had to humble myself and listen to his direction, and he kind of set me right, and it's working out.
I don't know if you would notice, but if you only did audio, it would be harder because for me, I did radio in the beginning and then I transitioned to TV. Everybody thought it would be harder because I got more things happening. But in a way, I don't have to paint that picture and say, when I did radio, if I was doing a broadcast at a beach, I'd have to say, we're at the beach and it's sunny and we got like 5 people behind me. If I got the camera going, it shows all that.
Yeah, you know, that's true. So with Tiny TV, is it still running? You said for 20 years?
About 21 years. I just like to say 20. It started in 2000. So I know I hit 20 in 2020. I'm like that. I like when it's easy numbers I can remember. So anything beyond that was just gravy. Once I hit 2020 and I knew I hit 20 years, I was like, I'm good. And when that happened, I was going to go on as long as I could, but things change. And my style of shooting as abrupt and kind of on the fly, as you call it, movement, there was only one that could be on Spectrum OC16, because you don't want to have too many shows of just, someone walking around with a camera. It gets kind of redundant.
Yeah.
And it is hard to watch sometimes. I had to learn how to kind of steady my camera a little bit. But the new company, we were Oceanic Cable. We went to Time Warner. Can't remember all the owners. Spectrum is the latest. But the more it goes into the mainland hands and corporate, they'll demand that, hey, that guy, Tiny, they don't know who I am on the mainland. That Tiny guy needs to get a camera person, and the audio needs to be louder, or because I have my little tricks I use, but you can only go so far without it being, like a top-notch production. And
well,
I decided
that was the specialty of your show. It was organic, and it was you doing your thing.
But I think it now lends its way more into social media and going into the Facebooks and the Instagrams, because it'll be accepted easier. You got to do stuff quick and fast, and people don't care if I'm only using the mic on my phone as opposed to if I have a lavalier on or a boom mic. Again, just time changes, evolves, and back then it was cool. And I remember being at a Vegas show, and I had just my camera, and I shot that King of Queens actress. I don't know if you watched that show with Kevin
yeah.
The wife was there at a show in Vegas, and I remember walking there, and I interviewed her, and I was the only one that got the interview because I was ready. The other guys had to put their headphones in and get the mic ready and white balance, and I was like, let's go. And then I was the only one that got my interview with the guy that says, let's get ready to rumble.
Mike Buffer.
Yeah, everyone else is taking too long, and he was walking. When they're walking at these conventions, they're not going to stop. But if you walk with them and you're already filming, you got them.
Yeah.
So there's benefits of being quick and being by yourself. But then today, I think more so with what happened with my show, it just wasn't enough quality for Spectrum.
So being that that's not on TV anymore, you kind of took it, like you said, to more social media and the social network platform, which is huge. And people want their content quick on social media, and you can deliver pretty quickly on that.
And
so that's what you're doing now?
There's some new rules you got to have with, unwritten rules like short and sweet. People don't have an hour or a half an hour. I tried doing a half-hour show, and it just wasn't working. Even 5 minutes I know is too long, but still my sponsors or restaurants, they want that. So I give it to them.
Yeah.
But in reality, people have 30 seconds to see something, and if you can deliver it that quick, that's even better.
Yeah.
I know video helps, but then sometimes if you overproduce for Instagram, people tune out because it looks too fake, like sponsored.
Yeah.
They don't want to do sponsored stuff, right? They want it to be
organic and kind of natural on the fly, kind of what you've been doing all these years already.
Yeah. So it was an easy transition for me. So I'm doing it. The other good thing is I don't have to give them a show on Instagram that's 28 minutes and 30 seconds long, or even on YouTube. I do a 7-minute segment and it's done. So long as it's nice and I'm happy with it, good to go. 5 minutes, 30 seconds. There's no limit, and I don't have to worry about, Taylor used to have to put a little tone at a certain point in the show so the commercials could pick up the feed on the computers on the mainland and all these, things. You need those pukas for them to air their national commercials, and it's just different. So I'm happy. I'm 57. I did my 20 years of Tiny TV. I like it now where I can spend time with my family, and we just planned a trip to Disney World coming in May.
Oh, nice.
Be able to do if I have to have a show out every week.
That's true. So with the internet, how's that being reciprocated by your fans and the general public? They've been kind of following you through this internet journey?
I think for me, I know there's people that have 200,000 followers or 20,000 followers, and for me, I'm low key. I've got like about almost 5,000 followers. And for me, I like that because they're people I know, the people I talk to. When I do a restaurant, they text, "Oh, we're gonna go down there." I don't have somebody in Italy or in
Yeah.
Taiwan that just became my friend. I didn't pay for any of them. That organic word of I gained these on my own. And they'll come and follow me, and my sponsors or people that I videotape and promote, they're happy because they get good response.
Yes, and being that you're always showcasing these local businesses and it's helpful to them. I mean, I've seen it myself with I Don't Care. They must be super appreciative because you taking their business and giving them a platform where people that would not know about them, they kind of get showcased. And that's what Tiny TV was about. It was you showing aloha to these businesses and giving them some kind of platform. So I always thought that that was cool because a lot of these businesses, they can't run commercial ads. They don't got the money for like big radio spots and stuff. And they see you on Tiny TV, and now it's transforming to Facebook and Instagram. Still the same kind of eyeballs getting to showcase all these businesses. And it shows because the aloha you always show, I mean, it's just super friendly, and I'm sure your sponsors are appreciative.
Well, for the beginnings of Tiny TV, when I started, I actually had a good number of advertising dollars coming in. I was the only one, and from the Tony Group, it was I think I was the first show, maybe in the world, that had a title sponsorship for a TV show. I called it Tony Group's Tiny TV.
Oh, that's right.
People used to tease me, like, "Oh, everything's a sponsor. His whole show's a commercial." Blah blah blah. I had the first time it aired on Oceanic Cable. Back to how it started. I worked at KITV. I did weather, and before that, sports. I was kind of over the news, just the pressure, and for me, when I moved to weather, getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it was just kind of getting old. So my boss at the time at Spectrum, because I always did promotions there, I never left Oceanic. My boss, Mitzi Lejano, at the time said, I was on the midweek cover with my son, and they put KITV Funny Man. And I worked full-time at Oceanic. She said, how come they said KITV? I pay you more. You do more hours here. This is the way it comes. And I said, it's just the way it goes, right? Midweek saw that as the bigger company, as opposed to saying, oh, he does football sidelines and does promotions.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
When you say KITV Weatherman, it's more prominent. So they put that as a headline on the front page. She said, how can I fix that? How can I make it where you're Oceanic's Tiny, not KITV? I said, I'll quit doing the weather. She goes, what do you want? More money? And I was making 6 figures. At the time, that was a lot. And I said, no, I don't want more money. I want an hour on Channel 16 from 9 to 10 o'clock, right before the news. And she went, that's it? You don't want money? I said, no, that's all. And my thing was just Tiny TV, walking around with a camera. And I knew it would work because I shot a segment for KITV called Tiny Takes the Bus. It was with a VHS camera. Back then, those little VHS, you would load the
yeah.
And people got a kick out of that. So when I approached her with that, she said, go for it. When I left KITV, our cameraman on the morning show said, Ikaika Kimura. I don't know if you know Ikaika, but a good producer here. He became a pretty good prominent producer with his own shows. But he said, hey, Tiny, I heard you're leaving. He goes, I'll go with you. And I said, what? He's the cameraman for me in the morning. He said, I got an idea for a show of this big guy named Brother Sam eating at restaurants called Local Cutting Grinds. And I said, we can meet about it. Let's go to your house and talk one day. So we went. I didn't want to talk at KITV. We went to his house. I walk in his living room, and he has a whole setup. Avid was a company there for editing. John would know that one. And it was in his whole living room. His dad bought him the set. And Ikaika was just out of high school, out of Kamehameha. Brilliant guy on editing. And that's my first editor. I said, I tell you what, Ikaika, I got an hour every day on OC16. I'll give you half an hour of my show. 9 to 9:30 will be Tiny TV. 9:30 to 10, we'll do local kind grinds. He goes, oh, shoot. He goes, how much I got to pay you? I said, nothing. You edit my show for free. And you know that that's your most expensive part of your broadcast. The show is going to be your editor.
Yeah.
And so now I'm bartering everything. And I learned how to barter everything from Mitzi at Spectrum or Oceanic. And so it's not that I don't pay for anything. You know, I give airtime for, you know, whether it's gas or my cell phone or whatever. And so I was known for being the barter guy with trade. And that helped me save money. So I didn't have to charge people when I did restaurants. I could tell them, you don't have to pay me, just feed my family.
Yep.
You know, and they were grateful for that, because the broadcast stations would come in and charge them like $3,000 to $5,000 for running a 30-second commercial for production and then airing it. And then they would come to me, and then I would charge them maybe $100 or maybe $1,000 if they're a regular sponsor. And they would say, how can you do it? And because I save money. Yeah.
That was cool, because the like restaurants and the people that were on your show, we got to meet them. We got to know them. We got to hear them talk. We got to see where they came from. It wasn't like a big commercial spot, like you said, that was produced and edited. It became like you connected with the people who owned it. And for me, that was cool. And I trip out, like hearing that story. I see so much of Taylor and his mindset came from you. And it's amazing. He's always looking to help people, and he always trades, and he does things for other people to get them to the next level. And I mean, guarantee that comes from you, and it's cool to see. And just hearing that story, I definitely put it in relation. It's crazy.
It always comes back. You know, later on, I'll meet someone later, and they'll be like, oh, you know, you did this for me, and they bring me something. Gats Grinds in Kaneohe, the musubi shop.
Oh yeah.
I've never charged them, and I put them on my show. I put them on my social media. Taylor's put them on. And you know what? To this day, whenever they have extra musubis, and I'm talking like a whole big tray, they bring it to me at Ohana Market Place, and they just give it to me. And then I'm like, I want to give them something too. And they're like, no, you know, and it's like, I like that feeling of when people give and then, you know, they don't expect anything in return, or I give and I don't expect anything in return. And I just kind of feel good that if I ever was homeless, I'd be okay, you know?
Hey, that's what aloha is, right? I mean, that was your thing. Aloha, what was it? Random acts of aloha.
Right.
That was your thing, right?
That was something I was shooting, and I think this was a good idea. Unfortunately, you know, as good as that is, I mean, I could start that up again, but people seem to gravitate to bad news more, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Clickbait. Yep.
Yeah. And
people want to see the car wrecks.
Yeah. Or even when I used to tease the governor and do my impersonations and all that, I kind of kicked back from that a little bit because, you know, I met him and his wife at a thing I was emceeing once, and they seemed like nice people. And so I did my impersonation for him. He laughed. He got a kick out of it.
I did see that. That's nuts.
I'll do it once in a while, but I don't need to blast it on social media anymore. You know, he gets enough digs as is already, right? But
that's so funny, because Taylor used to tell me my dad taught me how to speak like Kermit the Frog. He said my dad literally taught me how to speak like Kermit the Frog, and everybody says the governor speaks like Kermit the Frog. So when you're doing it, I'm like, Taylor, you can do it too, man.
Well, the funny thing is, you know how you said you used to say a lot? Yeah. See, you can do it too. Just go back to that and you'll be Governor Ige.
Yeah, that's true. He got that down, especially during these COVID press conferences. It would be a drinking game. Every time he says you'd take a shot and you'd be messed up by the fit sentence.
Yeah.
So speaking of Ohana Marketplace, I said again. Speaking of Ohana Marketplace, I've been in there and it totally blew my mind. I had no idea what to expect. It reminded me of Caroline's Craft Fair at Blaisdell on Christmas. A bunch of vendors that are permanently there that have something to offer the public all the time. It was super cool. So how did that thing start, and how did you get involved with that?
So Chris Ulu, who was a sponsor of mine through Hawaii Self Storage, and then he went on to own his own self-storage company now called Storekeeper, right under Hawaiian Brian's. You'll know the spot.
Yeah.
And he went to Vegas and saw a indoor swap meet. So he called me and said, "Hey, Tiny, I know you come Vegas all the time. You got to check this out." And so I did. And I said, "Yeah, that was a good idea." But I didn't like it because it was kind of trashy looking. You know, there were like blue tarps and bricks, and it just looked like the swap meet down at Cam movie theater with the drive-in before.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just cheap looking. But otherwise, it was a good idea. So I said, if we could do it indoors, it'd be nicer. And he agreed. So we actually met like 6-7 years ago and shook on it about doing this together. Since then, a lot of things happened. And so he went on to do it. And I came on and decided to help him. And in other ways, marketing and running some of the booths and stuff. But he took it all the way and built it nice inside of the old Sports Authority on Ward Avenue. I have to say, and I think you do too, it's nice. It's like a mall.
It's amazing. Yeah.
The intrigue of it. It's just like you go in there and there's food from around the world. There's different nationalities working the booths, which are, you know, there's good and bad about that. It is like Ohana. We have family in there, and there's kids, you know, there's fights. I mean, everything. But because there's competition, yeah, for products and money and all that. There's a stage, and what kind of music should we play? It's too loud. I mean, I've been in some of these beats too. But all in all, it's a great place to hang out. A lot of people come in and they're like, "Oh, wow, this is so nice." And they get mad. They tell me, "How come you guys don't advertise?" And I tell them, if you knew how much rent we paid for this place, you'd know why. We don't have budget. We basically use social media, and we're going to be expanding on that in the near future. And then now we're going to Vegas, and you know that's happening. I think you wanted me to talk about that too.
Yeah. Yep.
That's coming sooner than later.
So is that going to be called Ohana Marketplace as well?
No, that one is actually going to be called Hawaii International Marketplace.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the name.
There's a huge Hawaii not fan base, but a community there that would love that.
And not just that, but the way we're going to build it, and I can't really divulge the location now, but it's in a good spot, and we're going to, you know, add things, and including shows, not just music, but hula shows and the retail Hawaiian trinkets and things and food. But it's going to be in a spot where it's going to guaranteed do well, and I'm excited to be a part of that, and eventually relocate and be there in Vegas.
So that's your master plan, is you're gonna try and move to Vegas with this whole Hawaii Marketplace opening up?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I picked Hawaii International Marketplace because when Chris told me about this idea, I said, I got this name because the acronym is HIM, Hawaii International Marketplace. And Chris is a devout Christian. And the first thing people are going to say to someone like him is, Vegas is for sinners. But if you really study the Bible and you hear the stories where Jesus went, he went right in where there were the prostitutes and the murderers and the thieves, you know, and so we're going in there with him first, Hawaii International Marketplace, which I already saved the website, HIM.com.
Nice.
And
yeah.
we also will have a strong Instagram as well. And then Taylor's going to be a part of it somehow. I know he can come in video and do some stuff and maybe play some music. Maybe you can do a podcast live.
Yeah, for sure. That'll give us a lot of reason to go to Vegas.
No, we'll take the promotion. We'll get you there. We plan to have a little studio set up so people can come do broadcasts and maybe even play music there, you know, without having to set up, just like the marketplace now. We could have a little setup with DJ equipment, a microphone, and
Yep.
Mike can come up as well.
It's funny because when I went there, we had lunch. I had lunch with your son, and you're running the show. You're running around on stage, on the mic. You had the football games going. I'm like, this is Tiny's production right now. And you have a booth, correct?
Yeah.
So what do
Again,
you
it's just
sell at your...
helping Chris Ulu is a really good guy, and when he called me to partner up on this, I told him I'd give him my heart and soul. I mean, if you see me in there, people think they walk in and they go, "Oh, you got to wait tables or you got to sweep," and I'm like, I don't have to, but I treat it like my house. So when I see someone dragging a chair or a table and it's making noise, I go up like, hey, you know. Sometimes I can be. Do you guys say like some bad words on this, or you
Oh
keep
yeah,
it
you can swear all you want.
no, like I'll be a dick because I'll walk up to people and I'll tell them like, "Hey, you do that at home?" And they go, "Oh no," and they go, "Oh yeah." You know, like at my age, I kind of feel like I earned that right. My wife
Yep.
kind of hits me all the time and tells me, "Oh, you know, I'm grumpy or whatever." But I feel like if I have a job on this earth, and I always tell her this too, is I feel like I got to teach people lessons, and so I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to tell people, "Hey, you know, you might want to try it this way," or I hate a pet peeve of mine is when older people especially say things to you like, "Hey, wow, you got fat," or "Oh, your hair got all white, you got old." I hear that a lot, you know, from people. And before I shaved my head, it was like, "Oh, your hair white, no more hair," all that. And so what I tell people when they tell me things like that is I just tell them, "Hey, I never see you for so long, and is that the best thing you can come up to tell me?" And they go,
Oh.
I just don't, because I want to be truthful. I don't want to just accept it like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm fat, old, and ugly." You know, it's like I never do that. I always tell them, "Hey, you look good." You know, to me, when you get older, that's a process of life. You know, and
Yep.
and because I saw my mom and dad wither to almost nothing. You know, my mom to cancer, my dad with dementia. They get skinny and old, and they don't look good when they die, but they look good to me because that's my
Yeah,
parents, right? So
exactly.
when I see people and they get older, to me they look good. You're getting older, hey, you enjoying life, you succeeded, you got this far. You know, so I never tell people you look horrible. So that's a pet peeve of mine when I hear people say that.
Well, that's good because I'm getting there. So I'm gonna use that if they call me fat or bald or white hair. So you
Yeah,
didn't think of something better to say.
yeah. Make them feel bad, and then maybe they won't do it to the next person. That's how I feel. I can
True,
be
true.
the one that told them that, but they'll think twice next time, you know?
That's true. And like you said, with age, like you had to reinvent yourself multiple times, and it seems like you're doing it again. And with, I guess when you become older,
Mm.
your knowledge increases. And I remember a saying from a Bon Jovi song. It said, are you gonna be a wise man? And I answer with, I'll tell you if I grow old. And that's how you learn wisdom. So
Mm.
throughout your trials and swerves throughout the years, you gain a lot of knowledge. And to put this whole thing on in Vegas, it's going to need somebody like that can kind of mentor everybody and kind of show them, okay, this is what worked for me in the past, this hasn't. And to do it in Vegas is going to be crazy. And it's good because there's a big local Hawaii community that would
Mm.
open arm that thing. It's a great concept. And when are you guys gonna launch that?
Well, we're looking now with the location we got. It might be, if we're lucky, by Christmas next year.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
and it doesn't make it then. If we're going anywhere in 2022, I'm all good. And I'm in no rush because we still got Ohana Market Place. And I got my baby and the family here that, you know, we're still here for a while.
Okay.
And my wife and I really don't have a plan of how we're going to do it. But, you know, she knows I want to eventually get there. And for how long, who knows? But you know, again, that's where we're going to go for this road. And for now, I'll have to just kind of go back and forth and commute and get miles, and
Yep.
then eventually make the big move.
So at your booth at Ohana Marketplace now, what kind of stuff do you sell there?
Mainly, it's PPE products. You're going to see I always have my mask, and so I sell from disposable masks to the hard shell face shields. This is the big selling product now. It's the bracket, and it goes like that, and it keeps you from sucking in your mask.
Oh, so you can breathe.
Women can wear lipstick.
Oh.
And the whole neat thing about this is I order it from China. Doesn't cost a lot, so I can sell it for $1, still make money. And I'm the good guy because everyone else sells it from $3 to $5.
Oh, nice.
It's not much at all, but people buy them by 20 at a time. I've had people buy hundreds at a time for giveaways, for giving to other employees. So I do good on this. So if anyone needs one of these, if you tell them that you saw this podcast, tell them it was 19, and you'll get a free bracket.
Nice. That's awesome. People got to remember that. And you still do this. Oh, yep.
I'm on Dad's Above the Bridge show number, I like to call it COVID-19.
Yep. Yeah, are you guys still doing soft serve there?
No. So I wanted to get into this a little bit later into your podcast because I know when the show just started, I was going to reward those who stayed and hung on. And I'm going to go a little deep here into why Tiny TV is no longer on and why I don't do the soft serve because it's all tied in. So when I went to the Vegas trip, we started this whole idea with the marketplace. This was in, must have been like April or May or something, like maybe June. Just when COVID happened, people weren't traveling at all. The airports were dead. Chris and Lou, the owner of the marketplace, and myself, we decided to go on this trip. And he already went and came back. And he told the guy at the airport when he came off the plane, there was a table there, but it wasn't like it is today. And he said, I went for work. And he proved it with a receipt that he did some work and some paperwork. And they said, okay, you're good to go. You don't have to quarantine. That was
what the protocol was, right? Correct?
Oh, yeah. It's stipulated in the mayor's order, and it's on the old website, and it showed at the time. And not only that, not just if you went for business, but if you went as a media, and I went to shoot some video about this marketplace we were going to open, you were exempt. So I had two ways to not have to quarantine. And I didn't want to quarantine because I got stuff to do, yeah? So I said, I told Chris I wasn't going on this trip if I had to quarantine. And so he said, no, guarantee you get the receipt and you show them that you did work. Sure enough, when I came off the plane, I went to a table and I told the guy, and I forgot his name, but I kept it because I needed it for records. But I walked up and I told him I went for work. I also am part of the media. So the guy at the airport, the state worker, tells me, oh, yeah, Tiny TV. You're all good to go. You can go to work. And I said, you sure now? I said, give me some paperwork. I don't feel right. He goes, no. They know who you are. You can go work. No worries. So I went to work and I videotaped and I posted it. A couple of days later, I went to work with taking my baby to work as I normally do. I felt people following me into the marketplace. So I turned around and then there were like 5 guys there and they arrested me and they cuffed me and everything. I had to call my wife to come back and pick up Tory Blue. And I got arrested when they told me to go to work. So I was blown away. I thought, oh man, lawsuit. I'm going to sue the state. Yeah. And then I'm on the news and they're showing me my mugshot for days. And I'm thinking, man, I'm recording this. I'm talking to my attorney. Come to find out, I had to lay low, and they eventually dropped the charges, but I couldn't call my friends back at the news stations to tell this story. I'm only doing it here, Dad. You're one of the few media that's getting this outside of what I said.
Nice. Well, I remember when you got arrested and people were on social media and me and Taylor were just trying to kind of, bruh, you don't know what he's done for the community. You don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? It's like trying to show support without getting into a fight or having to find these guys.
And Taylor knows who I am. And the old me would have been, Bruh, you know what? Come, I live here. Come meet me
Yeah,
downstairs.
exactly. That's
But
what we were like trying not to do. And I'm calling Taylor, like, brah, these guys are talking shit. We gotta.
but all good. You know, after all said and done, they dropped the charge. I had to make an apology on social media, which thank you. I got your
Yep.
your message to me on, you text me and appreciate what I did. But I also got to mention that the charge was dropped. That's as far as I got. I couldn't go to call the stations because I wanted to call Davey D and go on KITV and tell my side what happened. I thought I deserved that.
Yep.
But my attorney said, you know what? Just take it. The charges are dropped. Because if I fought this, I wouldn't be able to go into court with a jury till 2022. That means I couldn't travel. They would still press charges against me, and I would never win against the state. Because if I won my case, it was probably the highest profile. I'm not saying I'm a big celebrity, but I was one of the names that they used. Because trust me, once I got arrested, a lot of singers had to do concerts, or people were going to travel to the mainland. They didn't go. They said, screw that. Look what happened to Tiny, right? So they used me as that example. Now, if I won that case, could you imagine the state would have to let everybody off the hook and pay all these people? And there's no way I would win. And my attorney, Miles Briner, good attorney, told me, take it, take the deal. And so I did. But something I learned out of this, two things. One is, and I knew this before, any advertising, any publicity is good publicity in the long run. Because people who know me and my heart will forgive me and know what happened. If they don't, I mean, big deal.
Yep, exactly.
And anyone who forgot about Tiny TV remembered it. That's so I got any publicity was good publicity. The second thing I learned was that I don't need this shit in Hawaii. So not that I hate Hawaii, but I don't think it's like how it was before. No way.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
It makes it easier for me to make that jump to my new transition eventually, where I'll go to Vegas. And my wife knows, I decided right there when this was happening, I said, you know what? I can't wait to go to Vegas. I just want to get out of here. I cooled off since then. I mean, I'm back, working and I call this my home, but it's, except for Taylor, I mean, my mom and dad are gone, and my family has moved around, and you can always catch a plane to visit your family. I don't owe Hawaii anything. My life, and I'd like to move on, and that whole fiasco made it easier for me to transition out. The slush puppy thing, the Niu soft serve, they were my sponsor for Tiny TV. Niu soft serve, the ube non-dairy soft serve, was slush puppy. So when Tiny TV got taken off, they asked me to pull back and not go on while I was getting this hearing and everything resolved. And so I agreed. I pulled back because I don't want people saying, hey, that's the guy on TV anymore, or blaming Spectrum. They wanted me to come back in November when everything was solved.
Oh, I see.
But they said, Spectrum wants you to make all these improvements to your show at the same time. That made me realize I wasn't going back, because during that 3 or 4 months I was off the air, I realized I didn't need Tiny TV. I did my 20 years, like I said, I was happy. I wanted to do something else, and I didn't want to do the changes for my show. It was time to move on. And
that's good timing.
Oh, it was perfect. Other things that happened, I got my insurance money back for half the year that I had to have for my show to be on state TV. Just a number of things that happened was perfect. The other thing is, I think for my next move, I needed to do this. My sponsors, no big deal. I mean, I'm still friends with Slush Puppy, Niu Soft Serve, but I don't expect them to give me a machine and product to serve at the marketplace anymore, because there's no show. And that's why that ended. Still good
I see.
family. Yeah, always family, but got to evolve, yeah?
Well, I do remember that time, and I do remember the post you put after, and I was inspired just by that post. Like, and I told you, it meant a lot to see that from you, because it took initiative, and you put yourself out there, and I don't know. For some reason, that post, when you showed that video and explained everything and apologized, and that, I just was taken, and I had to text you. I was like, Tiny, that was such a awesome thing you did, and that's something that I always remember. And I know it wasn't easy, and I know, like, behind the scenes, it was a little bit of drama, and nobody wants to be on the news getting arrested, and they should have your mug picture on, like, Hungry Hawaiian, and I'm just like, shit, that's Tiny. But I'm glad that's behind you and everything worked out. And I kind of thought they were just kind of, like you said, using you as an example, and they had to show, like, oh, we're not budging for anybody, and it just was bad timing. But to hear your story now, how it kind of transitions into what you're doing now, I guess it was a blessing that all that stuff happened.
Everything happens for a reason, yeah?
Yep.
I truly
it's
believe
crazy. It. So what I know what I wanted to tell you, and this I didn't really know until I, like, got close with Taylor. Like, your real name is Tiny, correct?
And my middle name is Nitro. Yes.
Yep. So it's TNT, Tiny Nitro Tadani.
You know what's funny is I got this tattoo. I'll show you. It doesn't even look like a bomb anymore, but this was before tats got popular. A bomb like the kind you see in the cartoon, and you can't even see the T in there anymore. But Taylor did his leg and got all the tribal nice stuff. I'm sure you got too. Here's the other one I got. This was done by Glenn Lee, the oceanic artist at the time. Those are the sticks for the bomb.
Yeah, and we need to get one of our artists to hook it up for you and get it all nice.
I'm gonna die with these, man. I'm all good.
That's super cool.
Keep it simple. That's my whole philosophy, man. It's like simple is always the best.
Yep, that's what I learned in martial arts, was always KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. No frustrations. Mm-hmm. So you brought it up a few times, and what impressed me over the years is your parenting with Taylor, but now you have a brand new little baby, and I can't even talk about, like, her smile just radiates happiness. And you post her, and it's crazy because she looks like the most happiest little girl I ever seen. So how's being a dad again?
It's awesome. I mean, it's better when you're older. You'll see, because I'm sure you'll have more, I think.
Oh, hopefully.
Okay, she's still up. Because we do record this at a nighttime, I'm not sure how up and how smiley she'll be. But she's the best part of my life now. Come, Tori Blue. Come, Daddy. Come.
Yeah.
This is her. What is this character called? The Dr. Seuss one? Thing?
Oh, the Who. Yeah. Cindy Lou Who.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Oh, that's what it is. Hi, Tori.
Hi, Uncle. Say hello.
Hello. Yeah, she got a smile. Yay.
This is her favorite thing, her cell phone.
Oh, yup. So she got to do her business.
She likes to watch my videos. That's why I like it. She watches the Tiny TV stuff. And
oh, nice.
It's between me and Blue's Clues. Right now I'm winning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, this was a surprise. The doctor told my wife and I we had almost zero chance of having a baby. I was 46 at the time. I was 56. She was 46. And he said, your chances of having a baby is the same as winning megabucks, which is slim.
So you won the megabucks then.
When we got pregnant, my wife was sleeping one night, and I thought of the name Jackie Blue because we hit the jackpot. So I thought, and I don't know if you know the song Jackie Blue. It's back from the 70s, but it was remade by the Smashing Pumpkins later in the 90s. Ooh, Jackie Blue. It's like that.
Oh, okay.
She, my wife told me she didn't like the name Jackie, so I went with Tori Blue because she likes Tory Burch.
Oh, okay. They
But
all
the
do.
initial was T. We agreed on a T. And then her middle name is Aiko for my mom, Tori Blue Aiko,
Okay.
and Tadani. So it's not TNT, but almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Now
So
she's watching herself. Other things she likes to watch. Yeah, Tori.
so how's it being a dad again? It's like kind of you're starting all over, but now you know a lot more. So that like it's kind of easier, I would assume.
Well, plus I'm with my wife, who's a mother of 8 now, so she knows how to do it, and she knows, for me, things that I don't even know how she does some of the stuff, like even putting on some of her clothes or and there's some things I remember and I know well, but it helps to have a mom like her and then all the siblings. So we got a bunch of mommy and daddies watching her all the time, not just at the marketplace with all the aunties and uncles, but just the kids alone.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
they all take good care of her. Yeah. She calls Taylor Tato. Tato, yeah? That's Tato's friend. Can you say Thaddeus?
Uncle Thad, Uncle Thad. Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to see her in person at Ohana Marketplace because I always see her videos and stuff. And I was like, oh, I got to see her before she gets too big. I want to see her when she's small yet.
She's by the time your podcast airs, she'll be 22 months old.
All right. So
Like when
your wife, you said she teaches yoga, correct?
No, Zumba.
Zumba, that's what it is.
Big difference.
What's the difference?
Yoga is like this, and Zumba is like this.
Oh, okay. So it's like kind of like jazzercise, a newer version.
My wife is gonna slap you.
Oh no, good thing we're not like in the same room then.
It's with Latin dancing to exercising together,
Oh,
and
okay.
group exercise. It's fun. I watched her Zoom cast when she does it. We call it Zumba, like Z-U. How do I spell it? ZOOM, because it's on Zoom, and Ba, because Bah Humbug, because no one likes to exercise, right?
Oh,
BAAH. But we change it to Zumba with Chas over there, and then she does her class. So you're welcome to join that. I know you like to
so
keep
so
in shape.
so if I were to join, how would I join the Zumba class?
Just message me. People can message me or her, and then we just send a link, like how you sent me the link for
Oh,
this,
okay.
and then you click it and you dance.
And she teaches the class.
Yeah, and you don't have to do the exact moves. You just copy or make up your own. Just move around and sweat.
So my question for you is, can she see me doing it?
Yeah, and you have the choice to not if you don't
Oh,
want to be
okay.
seen. But she
Yeah, if I'm
encourages
gonna do it, I'm gonna kind of not have my video camera on. Can't have
you to
anybody.
go, though, because what's your reason, huh? Oh, she doesn't like creepers just staring, like watching the
Oh,
other.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It does sound like you, Thad.
So, so you have all these children that used to coach baseball. Are you coaching anything, or are you planning to?
No, again, I had that run, and I think coaching should be done by young people, youngins, because when I coached, I was right out of high school, and I'm not bragging, but everyone wanted to be on my team because I had my friend Jason Baranobis. He was same year as me. We were young, and we just did things differently, like the kind of the hip way. Even our infield practice, we did everything kind of cool. We were strict. I'm the most strict guy and parent you will ever find. People think I'm just fun loving and happy all the time, but although my wife is the disciplinarian for Tory Blue, but I can be very strict. And when it comes to coaching, more so. But it's I'm just watching Everybody Loves Raymond tonight, and the father was saying they gotta hate you to respect you, and that's true. In the same breath, you still have to be able to be loved and liked, in the heart of hearts when it comes to parenting and coaching. But with baseball, I made, as fun as we were, I made all my players, first day of practice, do a little test, and they had to know several things. And one was the Infield Fly Rule. They had to recite that. Until they could all do it, they couldn't swing the bat yet. And they're like, oh, come on, coach. I'm like, no. And the thing is, my dad made my brother and myself read the rule book to coach. He goes, you want to coach baseball? That's fine, but you got to know the rules. And that was the best thing for us. The Infield Fly Rule.
Okay, what is it?
And imagine this, because it makes sense once you learn it. With runners on first and second, or first, second, and third, with less than 2 outs, any ball hit that can be caught in ordinary effort in fair territory is an automatic out.
Okay.
And the reason why that was made was a slick infielder would know runners on first and second, or first, second, and third. If I'm a shortstop or second baseman, and then here comes a lazy pop fly, what am I going to do?
Let it hit the ground.
Yeah, if that rule was not in effect, I would let it drop, and I would throw it to third, second, and first, and do a triple play.
Yep.
Because they're going to tag up. They don't want to leave their base.
Yeah.
So this makes it where automatic out, no one can screw with this and play a trick play on anybody. I may have bored a lot of people on your podcast now, but that's why the Infield Fly Rule was in play.
But you were heavy into sports, and I used to notice you on OC16, the high school. You were on the sidelines, T-shirts giveaways. You had that car. You had to have the key for the car. So you were a lot involved with the local sports community, and sports was always your passion, correct?
Yeah, that started with my dad. He was the scorekeeper at the Blaisdell Arena for years, even for your kickboxing. You know, he was there. Yep. Anything at the Blaisdell, he was a scorekeeper. And I wanted to see the Globetrotters. And I was maybe 7, 8 years old. And at dinner, I said, oh, Dad, I want to go see the Globetrotters. And I thought he's going to say, yeah, because he's the scorekeeper. But he said, oh, okay, but you got to sign up for T-ball, which was Little League back then. They put the ball on a tee, you know. And I said, oh, okay. And I was a mama's boy. I wasn't going to play ball like my brother, because I was like just going to stay home and watch TV with my mom. But I went to the Globetrotters, I had to play, and thank God, because it gave me something to do. But my dad also made me learn how to dribble left-handed and shoot left-handed, because you can't just be a one-sided, one-arm basketball player. And proven with like Isaiah Thomas, now you see all the good guards, they're both ways. If you can't, you won't make it.
Yeah. Oh, she's going down. She's sleeping.
That's the best thing, when you have your baby and they feel safe enough to go to sleep with you.
I used to have Aria. She would never sleep, and I have to carry her and walk around the neighborhood. I'll do one lap and she'd be out. And I was like, that's the only way she would sleep. Or I would have to have her in my lap, and I would play the Guns N' Roses song Patience. It's kind of a slow song. By the end of that song, she'd be out. But we've been going.
My CDs, I had Shana Oal sing Patience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's slow all the way with slack key. I'll give you that copy so you can listen to it. Oh,
yeah, I definitely want to hear that version. Yep. Well, we've been going for a while. Yeah, she's out. Maybe we should have the
neighborhood. You said you walked around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You ever watch Mr. Rogers?
Yes, I used to when I was little. Yeah.
So she likes to. There's an updated version by John Cicada. He's I think a Latino singer, but on the top 40, and it's a little more upbeat. But she likes that song. So whenever she knows it's nap time or bedtime, and I go, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," and I go like that, she goes, "No, no, no, no."
She knows it's coming. Well, we've been going for over an hour. Maybe John, you can ask us the question of the week.
Okay. Before the question of the week, I got my own Tiny Tadani story.
Yeah.
On November 29th, 2002, I met you. It's really
How do
weird.
you remember the date?
Wow.
My friends were playing a show at at World Cafe, and you were outside for some strange reason with another person, I think shooting something or whatnot. You walked by, and I was going to the show to record my friends playing the show. And I guess I was just, putting my tape in and whatnot. And you walked by and you said, "Hey, nice camera." So I was using a Sony PD-150 at the time. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, Tiny knows what's up. He knows he knows what's up." I was like, "Yeah, that was my Tiny moment."
That's awesome.
You had the same hairdo, John.
Yep. Full ahead crew. Full ahead. Okay, so question of the week is, what are your top 3 sports moments that you've experienced either live in person or on television?
Oh, okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
So my top 3 sports moments. For me, I'm gonna age myself, but one of the biggest moments as a fan, and I watched as it happened on TV, was back in the 80s. I was a huge Mets fan, huge. Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, they're like my heroes. Sid Fernandez, Gary Carter, Lenny Dykstra, all those guys. Game 6 of the World Series, I think it was 86. I don't know if you remember. They were down, and they were down in the series, and they were down in I think it was the last inning, and it was the Red Sox, Roger Clemens. It was like a huge rivalry, and I was such a huge Met fan, and they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose the whole series. They had 2 outs. They had a runner on second or first or whatever it was, and all they needed to do was get one more out, and the Mets were done. Red Sox win the World Series.
And Bill Buckner was at first base, right?
Yep. Mookie Wilson hits the lamest grounder to the first baseman. All he got to do is field it, touch the base, game over, World Series done. He missed it. Went through his legs. The runners advance. Mets end up hitting another one. They win the game, win the whole World Series the next following game. Like that, I remember that moment. I was like almost in tears because it was like my heroes, and like, so that was one of my first memories of a sports moment that got me really like in my feels. 2, it would probably be 49ers winning the Super Bowl in 93. And I was always a huge 49er fan. So
Who was the quarterback? Was it Montana or Young?
Steve Young. So I seen when Montana beat the Dolphins and the Bengals. It was just the 93 one I followed religiously throughout that season. And when they won that whole thing, it was a super special moment for me. And I think the 3rd one would probably be I seen live on TV watching Mike Tyson knock out Spinks. That was a huge one for me because it was built up, and we'd be at school arguing who was going to win. And I was a big Mike Tyson fan. And when he put him down in the first round, it was super cool for me. So I would say that. Those are my 3 fan moments. Yeah.
You're a fighter, so you got to have one of those in there, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, what's your 3?
Okay, I'll go in order from 3 to 1. My 3rd event on TV that I've seen was, well, this one was live. This wasn't even on TV. Back in the 70s, maybe 72, 73, my family would either go to LA, because my mom was from there, or we'd go to Turtle Bay, which back then was called the Kuilima Hotel.
Yeah.
We would alternate years for when my dad had vacation, and during the summer we'd go either to Kuilima or to LA to go Disneyland and visit the family. That one year we went, and I was the biggest Johnny Bench fan. Taylor knows I am because I wore number 5 growing up because he was my favorite player, catcher for the Cincinnati Reds.
Nice.
And my dad took me to a Dodger game when they played Cincinnati, and I got to see Johnny Bench play. I remember he had a double, and they won, and wasn't the greatest thing like the Mets game or anything, but it was because my dad took me and I got to see Johnny Bench, and it'll be one of my favorite moments. So my first pro game that I ever went to see.
That's awesome.
Number 2 would be, and this is, maybe I'm getting hit by just what happened in the news recently, but Hank Aaron, I watched him hit his 714th home run, which tied Babe Ruth, and it was a big one. And I remember Al Downing was pitching for the Dodgers, a lefty, and threw the pitch, hammering. Hank hit it in Atlanta, went over the fence. And I just remember watching every home run that year, looking in the newspapers. Back then, we didn't have ESPN. So we'd look at the newspaper and the box scores, and I would check how many hits and home runs they had. And when I watched that one on the news, they actually cut out of whatever show to go show every at bat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I saw that, and that I remember. The number 1 sports thing that I've seen on TV isn't a game, and I want you to watch this if you haven't seen it, Dad. This one will make you cry, man. Jim Valvano is a basketball coach for North Carolina State. They won the national championship one year. He got diagnosed with cancer. And ESPN on the ESPYs had him as the guest speaker and gave him an award. And he came up, or I don't know if it was an award or he just came to speak, but he gave that never give up speech. Did you ever see that?
I think I did. Yeah.
I watch it every year. Every year they have the ESPYs, they repeat it. And I made my wife watch it. I mean, any of my friends, I make them watch it. And it's just so inspiring. If I had a big game and I was a coach for the World Series or the NFL championship, whatever it is, I would make my team watch it because it goes beyond the field.
I definitely got to see that.
That speech was when he's talking. Like right now, I know John's monitoring our podcast right now, saying you guys got to end it because we're going over an hour.
No. We had no time limit.
I'm just kidding. But that's what they did to Valvano as he was giving his speech. He was talking for 7-8 minutes already. And I guess some guy was waving him down, holding a card 2 minutes, 1 minute, or you gotta, So in the middle of his speech, he says, and to the guy in the back holding up the signs, he goes, "I'm dying of cancer. You think I'm going to stop right now?" Reaction.
Nice.
Speaker.
I definitely got to watch that.
So inspiring to watch the whole speech. And then if you ever are going to die one day and then you're going to know about it, I mean, that's the way to do it, man. I mean, he laid a foundation out that raises millions every year for cancer research. And if you don't know anyone who's died of cancer, then, I introduce me to that person because everyone knows somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I work for a cancer research center. That's my job. Yep.
Right. There's always the cancer sucks or the fuck cancer things like that. And I'm all for that because it's horrible.
Yep.
And that gives you inspiration. And that ESPY award now, they give out that Galvano award every year to somebody. Arthur Ashe got it one year. Who was the guy? I can't remember his name, but he wore the fancy ties, colorful ties. He died of cancer.
Recently, his speech was
Craig Sager.
Good call, John. And then there was another guy recently, black gentleman, and
that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, he died of cancer.
His recent. That's gonna stump me.
They're gonna be chiming in, calling you later.
He gave that speech about fighting cancer, and
this was
sometimes you don't have that speech was amazing. Oh, it's gonna bother me now.
We can look it up later. And then there was a woman who's one of the hosts of Good Morning America now. She actually beat it and got into remission, and she's still hosting the TV shows and stuff now. But a number of winners of that award on the ESPYs. So
Stuart Scott.
Stuart Scott. Yeah.
I don't know how we forgot that one. He's such a cool guy. Sorry. Yeah,
my top three.
That was cool. That's a cool top three. Well, Tiny,
not one of me playing at Kalahale.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was on OC16, and I was there at the game at Kailua, and Larry Price is talking about Taylor Tadani and a cartouche by him, and he's for his size, he's the TNT, and then they show me in the stands watching, and then here comes someone to interview me. I forgot if it was Jimmy the Geek or somebody, and they're going to ask me about Taylor. On the play before they come to me, the wide receiver jukes him out, and he gets chasing the guy down like 80 yards. He gets blown by.
He never told me that story.
I think it was something where, I don't know, it looked like the quarterback was going to get sacked, so he was going in, and then the wide receiver went out. But it was kind of classic.
So he got burnt right before they were going to interview you. Yeah, he left that story out. He never told me that one.
I went into that played in that semi-pro football league, or
yes, we went.
They always say that he was, for his size, he was like dynamite. Like
he's a killer. Yep.
Yeah.
I was happy my daughter got to see him play. And what was for me that was cool when he did do that semi-pro, and I talked to him about it, and he said he never got to play in the stadium for high school, and he got to play for that semi-pro. And I told him, bro, like you're I don't know, there's no guarantee you're ever gonna do this ever again. So take in every single moment. Like the last time I got to fight or compete, I remember it's like, I don't know when I'm gonna do this ever again. So I'm gonna take in every moment. Look at all the lights, look at the surroundings, take it all in, because you never know if you're gonna ever play again, because like it's just not normal for people to be playing football at that. Like there's no high school anymore. So he was in the stadium, and he's like, he always was grateful that I told him that, because he took it all in. And I mean, he got to play in the stadium. He got to, I mean, you're right. He was crazy. Like for his size, he's pretty nuts. And I guess that's how I was too in high school. But like Taylor just played like he was 7-foot linebacker.
Today.
Yeah, he cannot walk in. His back's all hurt now. Like he called me the other day and said, we were playing spike ball at the beach, and they texted me the next day, I can't move. I'm all hurt from playing spike ball. I was like, see, when you like be like Ronnie Lott in high school.
Oh man. You remember Ronnie Lott?
Oh yeah, of course. Roger Craig, Montana. That's my gen. Yep.
No, when I liked the 49ers, it was they were my favorite team way long ago too. I followed John Brody as a quarterback. Gene Washington was the wide receiver, number 18. So my brother used to be Brody. I would be Washington, throwing balls in the backyard. Ted Pollock was the tight end. Forrest Blue was the center, all pro. Vic Washington, the running back. See?
Oh wow, that's some old school. Yeah, I should have said one of my other memories would have been the catch. I do remember watching that live. Yep. That was pretty inspiring.
Clark, he passed away too, yeah.
Yep. ALS. Yep.
Oh, here's a moment I remember to do at sports is I got pulled over by a cop once, and he was walking up to my car, and I've been pulled over more than once in my life, so I'm going, okay. And the guy walks up to me, and it was a black gentleman, and he starts laughing, and he's like, Tiny Tadani. He goes, oh my God. He goes, just go. And I went, what? He goes, you don't remember, but you were at the Pro Bowl event down at the Kapolei, some stadium thing they were doing out there for, they used the other fields. I think at one of the hotels. And his kid was trying to get an autograph after practice from Emmitt Smith. So he held the ball up, and everyone kept putting their ball over him, and Emmett would never see him. and I went in where I grabbed his ball and I gave it to Emmett Smith, and Emmett signed it. And it was the police officer's son. And he told me
that's that random act of aloha. That pay it forward. That's an awesome story. Not to bring up a bad subject, but another awesome story was I'm gonna sell him out. But Taylor and I were driving home one night, and we got pulled over. And he gave him his ID, and he said, "You related to Tiny Tadani?" And Taylor's like, "Yeah." And the officer let him go.
I thought he was going to book him and take you both to jail, man.
No. So, hey, I was like, oh, good thing your dad maybe was the same officer.
Classic.
Right on, Tiny. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on my show. It's it meant a lot to me. And like I said, because of you and you coming into the I Know Star, I got Taylor in my life, and he's been my brother for years, and I definitely appreciate you. I love seeing his work ethic in you. I love seeing his hustle, his aloha, and how he cares about other people, and that all comes from you, and it's cool to know both of you personally. Thank you for coming on my show. It means a lot, and watching you throughout all these years as a little kid till now, it definitely is kind of a bucket list thing for me. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've done for me and my family. And yeah, you're there for when my daughter is born, came to her first birthday, and all that stuff. So I appreciate you, Tiny. And let's see, how can we find you on the web? You're on Instagram, Facebook, and all that. We can find you Tiny TV Hawaii on Instagram. Facebook would be Tiny Tadani, or
everything is Tiny TV Hawaii. Remember?
Okay.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. You can also find Tori Blue on Instagram, Tori_Blue. Your wife.
She had her Instagram when she was still an embryo.
Oh.
I wanted her to be the youngest person with an Instagram account. She was still beating in her mom's.
Doesn't get younger than that, huh? So what?
My wife's Instagram is Chas_Tadani, I think.
And that's where they can find her Zumba class.
Yeah.
All right, on. Okay. And for us, ATBpod.com on the web, Instagram Above the Bridge Podcast, YouTube Above the Bridge Pod. My personal one is Thaddy Daddy High. Follow Boy Band John. I always tell everybody at the end of the show, BBJ8, the letter 08. Follow him on Instagram. And that's about it, man. We did it. That was a cool episode. I had a lot of fun.
No editing now. You got to keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, man. Let it go.
Just dump it. I told him too before we went on. I was like, if something you say you want to edit out, just let me know like throughout the week. He's like, no, we're going to run it. We're going to do it. Right on, Tiny. That's about it. We're good, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you said, thanks for being on your show and you wanted me all that, but then why you took freaking 19 shows for get me on the show then?
we had to space it out.
So Tiny on Thad's Above the Bridge with Thad and John, over and out.
All right, shout out to the Artist Group Network. Yeah.